How do you know if your watch is actually a quartz watch? Well, you don't have to wind it up. Occasionally you will have to buy a battery for it. You can get self-winding mechanical watches, obviously, but you will usually know because they'll be quite fat and it will be written on it somewhere. Automatic, for example, means self-winding. But weirdly, Seiko, again, did develop, and a lot of people have since copied it, a sort of self-winding quartz watch. It had a rotor that spun around in the back of the watch as you moved your arm about, but it actually drove a minute generator which recharged a little battery and then drove a quartz movement. So it can get very confusing, this sort of thing.
How many watches do you own?
I don't know how many watches I own, but it's more than I would really care to admit to, even if I stopped and counted them up. You only really need one watch, as a lot of people are constantly telling me. But watches are fascinating because I think they are the most... I can't think of anything that you really look at more often than you watch, except possibly your mobile phone. You don't look at people's faces or books or pictures as often as you look at your watch. So it has to be an interesting thing. It has to look nice, but it also has to be intriguing mechanically. And quartz watches are intriguing. In the 1970s and 80s, when I was young, quartz was a boast. If you had a quartz watch, a bit like when you had a stereo record, it would say quartz on it. But then there was a bit of a reaction to it in the 90s, and people wanted old-fashioned automatic mechanical wristwatches. So quartz was considered a bit passé and a bit naff. But I think that's changing back again now, and people are recognising that actually the quartz movement makes enormous sense because it is so cheap to make, it's so accurate, and it's so small. You can make a quartz watch not much thicker than a piece of paper. You can also do that with a mechanical watch, but you're gonna pay for it. The reason I'm not actually wearing one of my watches is I'm made to take it off before we make these videos. I think just because, obviously I try and speak it all in one go, but we might have to stop for a noise or something else, or because I fluff a bit up. And then what you would notice is my watch suddenly jumping, as if we'd slipped through the space-time continuum in a weird way and lost 3 minutes out of the history of the world, and it's slightly distracting. At least I assume that's the reason. Is that correct? No. What is it?
It's the green reflects off the glass.
It's because the green of the green screen onto which the graphics will appear when you watch this as a proper animation reflects off the glass of my watch, and the effect of that, from your point of view, the viewer, would be to create a hole in my arm, isn't it?
A hole in time.
Or a hole in time, exactly. That would be like a wormhole. You'd go through the hole where my watch was and come out in 1930 or somewhere.
And what's your favourite watch?
I don't know which is my favourite watch. To be honest, in some ways, there are two watches I had as a child. I've still got every single watch I ever owned except my red LED one, which was stolen. But as a very small boy, I had a little wind-up Timex. It's a tiny thing. It just looks ridiculous when I wear it, but I still do. And for my 12th birthday, I got another Timex, which was very 70s. It had a rotating timing bezel on it, an orange second hand, and a checkered strip across the middle because it was sporty. And it's fantastic. I loved it, and I still wear it, and it still works. Even though I've taken it apart once and put it back together, it still works.
What do you think of these watches that cost upwards of £50,000?
£50,000 is a bit too much for a watch. The trouble, well, it depends. If you're very wealthy and you're a watch collector and you buy an exquisite movement with horological complications that have calendars and moon phase and perpetual calendars and all the rest of it, that's fantastically impressive miniature engineering. If you spend £50,000 on a watch because it has diamonds around the outside or whatever, I think if you're that into diamonds, get a diamond necklace or a diamond bracelet. If you're a bloke, you don't feel you can wear a diamond necklace or a diamond bracelet, well, you're right, you can't. So you can't have them on your watch either, frankly. Wear a watch. They tell the time. Stainless steel is perfectly good. It's a bloody good material, actually. It's hard wearing and it doesn't corrode.